Hey, Happy New Year's, everybody. It's officially 2016. It's the year of the DC Comics movie universe and the expanded 20th Century Fox one, and lots of things. And also, I'm already sick, kinda.
Now, how
Yeah,
was
how
New
was your New
Year's?
Year's Eve?
I was good, man. Had some good conversation, just some casual drinking, just took it easy. It was good though.
Was it as good as Strange Days? Did you have some kick-ass party like that?
It wasn't that crazy. It wasn't a Y2K New
Damn.
Year's, you know.
Yeah, I did something real mellow. I just went to my brother's girlfriend's family's house, so it was like 20 people. Wait, let's start with some movies. Where do you want to start here?
Of all the things I watched, I'm just closing out on all my 2015 things that I got to
Must-haves.
see before
Yeah,
the end of the year, and
same.
I did do that transgender double feature that I talked about, except I did not see the Danish Girl. That's the Tom Hooper,
Yeah,
Eddie
that's
Redmayne one that's getting
yeah.
a bunch of Oscar buzz for the simple reason of, I'm just not interested at all.
So you watch one from like 20 years ago instead?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll get to that, but I just, I'm not saying anything bad about the Danish Girl. Just it looks like Oscar porn. Like it looks like Oscar bait, and that's kind of what I think about everything that Tom Hooper does with
Well,
the King's Speech and Les Miserables, and
it
I don't know what else
is,
he did. Yeah.
a film starring the actor just won Best Actor, and
Yeah, and I was not a fan of that movie either. I mean, performance was good. It was a good physical role. And
I like The Theory of
I
Everything,
know
to be
you did.
honest.
I was so bored. I thought it was just a really
I'm a
lame.
sucker for romance.
That's not a romance.
I think so.
No, no. But anyway, yeah. I did see Tangerine, and it was really funny,
Right?
actually. Like, yeah, right, right within that first scene, like they just cut to the chase and just jump into it, and
Real
just the back and
fish.
forth. Yeah, just the back and forth banter and the slang in that scene, like all of it was just
In the donut shop.
it really. This is the thing about me is that I do love. I don't know if this is an official term, but I love underground movies. Movies that find ways to still tell a coherent story while shooting things like raw and illegally in some places because
Hmm.
they're shooting on iPhones without
Yeah.
permits, in actual
I
environments,
think
and
they
it
had permits
really.
for like that donut
Oh
shop. I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah.
because
For
there's like what,
they
like
have
3 or 4
permission,
scenes in
yeah,
there.
but for the most
Yeah.
part, though, it is very raw. And I really love, even though it's not a scene that I would particularly want to dwell into, I loved getting a peek into that and seeing what the sidewalks are in the areas of LA that I just drive by. Like I recognize
Hmm.
some buildings, but that's only because I just drove past them. I never stopped by them. I don't think I've seen that donut shop though.
I
Uh,
probably have.
but really, really funny. The iPhone thing really kind of works to its
It
advantage.
works, right?
Like,
Once you get
yeah.
used to it.
I mean, it didn't
It's
bother me.
like I
It
said.
kind of reminded me
It was like
more of
2 months ago.
It reminded me mostly of the stuff that while digital or video was taken off, the stuff that was shot on DV cams. Like back in the 90s or stuff like I think the Celebration or all the Dogma 95 stuff and
Has a little bit of
even
a
28
slacker
days
vibe to
later,
it.
yeah, it does, it has that feel, I think, visually. But yeah, it was just it was really funny. I don't know if on a performance level I would say that they're good. Like it definitely, parts of it do feel like they're kind of aware that they're being filmed, you know what I mean? But then again, I don't know, I would know because it's very rare to see characters like that in a film. But I gotta say though, James Ranson steals the show
Right? Deputy
for
so and
me.
so.
Yeah, especially like just that big reveal like later at the end. It's like, oh no no no, I don't smoke weed,
I like
and the mother's just freaking out. Prostitution.
I
Like,
like the white bitch, the real fish that gets
oh
dragged
yeah,
around the
no no,
whole
and like
city.
yeah, and yes, Cindy's just not letting Edgar go. Yeah, later on it's just like, hey, cool down, we're friends now.
Let me
No no,
take care of your makeup.
yeah, and
Oh,
also you know what that God, what's the name? Alexandra? Yeah, her number in the bar really good.
it's pretty good. I
Actually,
mean,
yeah.
the whole movie's good. I like I was really hesitant to talk about this movie in depth when I did my review a couple of weeks ago. Because it really, I mean, there isn't much of a plot here. It's a girlfriend
I
movie. I
know, yeah,
mean,
you hit it on the head
yeah.
describing it that way because that is what it is.
I mean, I'm not the only one. A lot of people on the internet. I mean, that's what it is. It just so happens to star two transgender women. But it's no different than any other girlfriend movie out there. Like this, I mean, it's not Bridesmaids because that has, a wedding happening and a bachelorette party. But the story itself, it's something that could have been done in the 50s. It's nothing original. It's just it's done really well, and the style with the cameras and the way it looks, and it feels real. And maybe that's because, like I said, the way it's shot, or the fact that the main actresses, they know each other through LGBT center, like they actually met their actual friends, and this is, and you said, they kind of know there's a camera there, but this is their first real
Yeah.
experience in front of the camera, even if it's a cheapo one at that.
The stuff with the cab driver though, I don't know, just because it's so obvious where it's going, and I don't. I guess the point there has I. Well, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Just maybe it's just a different look at a cheating guy or whatever.
I think it's just trying to bring
Or
in a character that an audience can relate to more, and it's just showing, like even he's a part of this world. I don't know. Yeah,
like,
the
yeah,
stuff with
it
his
could be
family
anybody.
is
Yeah.
the stuff with his family is kind of weird, but when he's actually interacting with the girls, like I like that stuff. But I
I found
like,
his first encounter with the real girl on the
yeah,
street
yeah,
pretty
that
funny.
encounter is amazing.
What
That's
is
perfect.
this?
What is it? Are those real?
It was just like, oh, what?
Pre-op or post-op? She's like, it's all. He's like, get a new track, bitch. You don't want to be here. That was like the final line in my letterbox
Yeah,
review.
no, I caught on to that. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, because I figured when I read that, it's like, okay, that's got to be some sort of slang term or something that
yeah.
reoccurs throughout. But no, it was just that line. No, but
I, I
it's
I really think it's gonna get nominated for some of the Oscars. I mean, there's a lot of people running for it. There. Hopefully there can be some actors, like the two of them could get nominated, possibly, maybe in the lead. Yeah, not the strongest year for women
I'm
this
not
year.
gonna go that
Like
far.
it's
Spirit
possible.
Awards, yes, but no, it's getting positive feedback, but it's not getting Oscar
I mean,
praise or
Caitlyn Jenner
anything
is
like
on
that
a campaign right now trying to get nominations.
for this.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner's out there supporting the movie.
Well, it's a funny movie. I mean, no, it is good. I think because it is on Netflix, even if
Uh,
it's not something that most people would necessarily seek out. But yeah, if you're brave and you're willing to dive into it, it's really good entertainment. It is a girlfriend movie, just how you summed it up, and it wraps up in a way that at the end is pretty sweet. Yeah, that final scene, I mean, really good moment. That was a good way of wrapping it up.
yeah, I mean, there's other transgender movies out there, and you're about to talk about another one in a second here. But besides The Crying Game and Trans America,
Hmm.
and obviously Transparent on Amazon, like the few examples that are out there in the mainstream are really good. I mean, you're about to talk about Boys Don't Cry in a second here, which is
Hmm.
like outside of The Crying Game, and it's the same era in American filmmaking. Just really important, probably more so just because of Hilary Swank and how it was a true story, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which just like the Danish Girl, that because Boys Don't Cry, it is an Oscar winner. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's made to be one like the Danish Girl was, but also, and I guess the advantage of also doing a double feature of that was like, well, I get to see both sides of the spectrum instead of just dwelling on one side. But
Can you
oh my god,
just
dude,
think about
this
this?
movie, this killed me.
Can you imagine watching the next Karate Kid and then like 2 years later seeing her play a dude?
I never saw that one.
No, okay,
No,
don't. It's
no,
really bad.
yeah, no,
Mr.
I heard.
Miyagi gets a girl sensei.
Yeah, but I
Or,
mean, oh my
yeah.
god, dude, this fucking killed me. Like, first off, Hilary Swank, yeah, very much a well-deserved Oscar. You just forget at a certain point, like I very much did forget that. Oh, it's
What's
he is a she
yeah?
originally.
What's the name? What's her name or his name? I mean, in the movie,
Tina Brennan, but
Brennan. There you
yeah,
go.
then he goes by Brennan
Brennan
Tina.
Tina. Yeah.
Yeah, but oh my god, like it was actually fun for a while. Like I mean, it is set in
It's
I think
like
it's set
70s,
it's set in
80s.
no in the early 90s. It's in 93 and it's set in Nebraska, but they
I mean,
shot it in
I was gonna say what time it takes place in.
yeah, I think it's 93.
Okay.
Yeah, or that's when Brennan Tina was killed, but spoilers for real life. But yeah, I mean, this was shot in near Dallas, and it really, I don't know. I guess I just have that thing of because I want to live in Texas, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the thing of like that area just seems so much fun. They're riding around like on trucks and stuff, and just having a good time. And I mean, it was a pretty fun movie up until
It gets real serious.
yeah,
Man.
then it just gets very real, and that's. Oh my god!
It's like
it killed me because I was having legitimate fun, and you just forget that that's an issue during the movie. Like the performance is that good.
It's kind of like in Brokeback Mountain, how like when it gets to the end with the shirt, and then you have like the flashbacks of the gay bashing that occurs, and it's like very melodramatic almost, and like really pulls on the heartstrings. And when it happens in this movie, in Boys Don't Cry, it's like holy shit, like it's so brutal.
I will say this: I did
Like
not
I don't know.
know what happened in real life while watching the
Uh-huh.
movie, so I should have caught on that that was how it was going to end, especially given that this was set in the early '90s. But when that gun went off, I was just like, "Fuck!" And then it went off a second time. I was just like, "Jesus, this guy's fucking nuts!"
Like if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, like the first sex scene in the movie, isn't there like an almost like Shakespeare in Love cross-dressing reveal, like meet cute type thing that happens?
I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah, like I do remember like the girl taking off her bandages, and it's like, oh, you're a girl actually type thing happen. Like I don't know, I haven't seen it in quite some time, but I definitely remember the moment from Shakespeare in Love.
No, it's not.
In my
It's more
mind,
like
I picture something kind of a little similar, but I mean, obviously, it's taking place in a car, so
I'm
it's a lot more
assuming that
intimate.
I'm assuming that a dildo was used in that in that scene for penetration, and then the girl gets a glimpse of cleavage while she's under. But it's a really weird scene to describe. I don't know because it's never. I thought that would be like a big reveal brought up in the moment, but no, it wasn't. But then again, I don't. I guess to some extent, that's kind of the point. Is that this was a taboo topic that no one was necessarily sure to talk about. If especially I guess when you are in a relationship like that, you're just not if it's like genuine love and you're just not sure how to approach it. Maybe that's it is the confusion because it was
Mhm.
there was a sense of like what is happening in this scene, even though like because I'm not even sure. I'm assuming that there was a dildo. Like I'm not even sure like how it went down in that scene.
Probably
Um,
what do they call it? A merkin? It's the term, right?
I don't know.
Pubic hair, like false pubic hair. It's like underwear that's nude colored, and there's pubic hair on it, or like fake genitalia because something about being in SAG, unless it's an artsy flick or like NC-17 rating, then like you can't show it, or I don't know exactly. But
Yeah,
the
I don't
first
know.
time
I
I heard about
mean,
this stuff, I was like, what?
I
Like
think this
it blew
came
my
out
mind.
as an NC-17, but and then it got overturned to an R. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if there was any cutting or anything. But then again, because this is 1999, and given where this was back then, this was much more of a taboo. I guess I don't know. It didn't seem that hardcore, but yeah, I mean, there was there was kind of a weird feeling of confusion, which I guess is intentional because that's not the moment of the reveal. That happens way later when the police goes after him, and I
I'm
mean,
gonna have to check it
yeah,
out
it
again.
just it.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
wouldn't watch it again, but
I think I saw it in like 2004, 2005, something like that.
yeah, no, I mean, but it is a great movie. It's from Kimberly Pierce, who's made so far one really great movie. I like Stop Loss a lot when I saw it, but I hated Carrie so much that the
Oh, the
remake.
Carrie remake did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't see that.
the CW version of that because I love the De Palma version. I grew up watching that one a lot,
Did you
but
see the sequel they made in the late '90s? They
oh my,
called it
yeah,
Rage
so
2.
bad,
Oh, it was like
so
Carrie
bad.
2 Rage or something. I do. Do you remember the CD scene though at the house party? That was pretty badass. Like I still remember that.
The best thing I remember from that sequel was that someone's glasses break and then they shatter
Yeah,
into their like, and that's just because
and
I
the
wear
the,
glasses.
the
That's just something
camera's the
that
point
stayed
of
with
view.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I don't remember anything else about that sequel other than it was stupid and made no sense to
Was
do.
Sissy Spacek in? Because if I remember
No, Sissy
correctly,
Spacek died.
is that what it was?
Yeah, it's and then it's
It's her
it's
daughter
it's the girl
that.
that played Sue that I think she's working at a school or something in the sequel.
Yeah,
The
there's
girl
like one
yeah
or
the
two
girl that had her
ties to
boyfriend go
Palmas.
out with her to prom in the original,
Yeah,
and
John
so yeah,
Travolta.
and then she recognizes that this other girl in high school has telekinesis like Carrie, and she's like, I know what you're going through. This girl went through the same thing. Look at the remains of this high school that burnt down. She did all this. I don't fucking know, man.
How do you
It
remember
was
this?
I'm kind of making it up. Like it's just flashes. I just
It's so
remember.
bad that's probably true.
I honestly, I just remember there was one scene where they were standing by the ashes of the high school. But 20 years later, apparently, yeah, no one bothered to reconstruct it, and I only remember that because they used flashback scenes from the original movie, which is like probably those are the only good images that you get out of that sequel because it's the fucking original movie, which is a great fucking movie, but. Uh, you know what? Yeah. Tangerine is really fun. I kind of wish I watched it after Boys Don't Cry because Boys Don't Cry just let me
Yeah, it's
feel
a
like
downer.
shit. Oh
Yeah.
my god. I mean, but still a great movie, and I think I hope that the fact that we're getting less true stories from today that end in violence the way that that did in 1993. I hope that that's a good sign, socially speaking.
I mean, we like if you
Hate
think
crimes
about
still
it.
are a thing,
Oh
though.
yeah, hate crimes
Yeah.
are totally a thing. But like when you think about it, I can't really recall one that's happened in recent times against someone from the LGBT community. Like it almost seems it's almost always racially now,
Well,
or police brutality. I mean, it's not like it's a better thing, but it's just something. It's like is has our society become that accepted now? Has it really dropped off to the point where we need biopics? I don't know. It's
I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. Another thing is I don't know what the effect of Boys Don't Cry was when it came out. I know it was praised, but
I mean, it was
I
mostly
imagine there
about
was a
Hilary
lot.
Swank getting the Oscar
Yeah,
and
and
how
I
big of a
imagine
triumph that was.
that being a huge deal for then because I don't know from this was Fox
Uh-huh.
Searchlight in 1999, but I don't know. I still imagine there being a little bit of trepidation going into just making the movie at the time. But you know what?
Probably.
It's still a classic as far as yeah. I don't know if it's on any of those all time like greatest movie
Probably.
lists,
It's
but
probably
it's
in that
definitely a
1001
movie.
movies to watch before you die book,
Yeah, well, it's definitely
I
a
would
movie
assume.
that people at least know what it is, and if you haven't seen it, then yeah, it is great as we're checking out. I mean it is a full on transformation. Like I don't think Eddie Redmayne is gonna be able to live up to that,
We'll
honestly.
see.
Like, cause I see that trailer for Danish Girl, and I still see Eddie Redmayne.
I remember seeing the first image, and still the only image I've seen that was released like right after the Oscars last year, and I was convinced for a little bit. I was like, okay, I can see it
I mean,
or not see it.
I can see it, but I don't know. Maybe it's the voice. Maybe it's easier for a girl to try to deepen their voice.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's it. But
Well,
anyway, yeah.
yeah. Let
What did
me
you start with?
let me move on here from movies about deviated sexuality and one about just sexuality's blossoming. I saw The Diary of a Teenage Girl right before we recorded right now. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I missed it earlier this year.
Yeah, I saw it on a couple of lists lately, um, and so I don't know. I just felt like checking it out. Really interesting coming of age movie. Not really anything to compare it to, just the way it's done. Because from like a strictly story standpoint, like there's some comparisons that you can make to Fish Tank. There's a little like I hesitate to use Juno because it did not remind me of it at all. She's not this main character is not quirky. There's not anything weird like that going on. But there is real heavy use of like her like making cartoons and drawing is a big part of the main character, and so that's part of her world and like the her drawings come to life. And I don't know. It's hard to describe. Really interesting though. Really interesting coming of age movie and like it shares certain things with like I can't really describe it. It's weird. Maybe it's too fresh. Like I said, I just saw it. Really good performances. Just and also it is like kind of a cliched story, but it's a debut. I don't know the name of the director. I know that she wrote it though. I should find it right now and talk about it. But I would definitely check it out. Like I don't want to say too much because it wouldn't ruin it. But it's kind of like the antithesis of American Pie. It has a really interesting not setup, but the way the story's told. She has she vocalizes things, so it's narrated in a way, but it makes sense in the story. Like she's recording her thoughts as a audio diary. So that, like in conjunction with the drawings that I was talking about, which is also a part of the story, like her artistic side is important. And just seeing this loss of innocence story from the other side of the tracks. It's not something that comes along often. That's kind of why I mentioned Juno because it, like tonally, it's millions of miles apart. But it's probably the most recent one that I can think of that has similar ground. Just a teenage girl losing her virginity and the things that go along with that, and just the maturation process of sex. Also, kind of reminded me of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the Jennifer Jason Leigh stuff.
Hmm.
Her story, like kind of like that too. Except imagine the whole movie's that. I think it'll be a hit. Like it seems like it takes place in the same world of Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, except that it's not trying as hard and it's not about cancer.
Well, I'll have to check it out. I know. I think it's at Redbox right now, so I'll have to get to it eventually. But
Definitely check it out. It's an interesting watch.
yeah, but speaking of coming of age stories about teenage girls that you recommend, I saw Mistress America, and
I know you didn't like it.
I
Yeah.
don't hate it. I don't think it's bad, but I didn't exactly like it either. In fact, I thought it was really, really obnoxious.
Well, it is Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. That means obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was hoping, just based on the way that you described it, it seemed a lot less pretentious and less self-important, but uh, no.
Well, I
No,
think
I think I couldn't, I couldn't stand, I'm even forgetting, I'm forgetting this movie pretty fast, too. What's her character's name?
I'm bad with
Greta
character
Gerwig?
names. Yeah,
Brooke, right, yeah.
sure. I don't know.
I think. Um,
Greta Gerwig. Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. Her, just I never bought for one second that she genuinely cared about. And I'm blanking on the girl that's
Yeah, the
supposed
main
to
girl.
the main character. I never bought for one second that she actually cared. There's actually scenes where she's just like, oh, in your new restaurant, can I be the hostess? And then she just keeps talking and talking, like just really, really narcissistic and just desperate. And I just couldn't stand that, no matter how.
How charming it was.
I didn't find it charming at all. And then I don't know. Then there's the story of the girl in college, and she's writing the paper on her, and
Uh-huh.
it makes it seem like she's getting something new out of this experience. But I'm not. I didn't feel like there was anything really to get out of it, other than she has this interesting character that's interesting to write about, I guess. But is not really that different from any other free spirit in any other movie that's been made ever.
I don't know. The way I saw it, you got it's obviously a Baumbach movie, and this is Greta Gerwig playing the character she usually does, especially in his films, and yet it's kind of tearing down what makes her special by having someone analyze her, because despite how much it's on the surface, or this is a character in a movie, to me it felt like he was kind of analyzing not only what his characters are like, but who Greta Gerwig is also. Maybe that's just me. Like I said, I
I don't,
really like.
I don't know if that's really
Uh-huh.
who Greta Gerwig is. I mean, because she's played different characters, like especially her in Greenberg is completely different from here. But
She's similar most of the time, though. Like
I don't know.
when I see her in this movie, I feel like that's who she is.
I don't know. I'm not.
I mean,
I'm
not
not
as
sure.
much of a
I've
jerk,
not
but like
seen.
her mannerisms, like how she
I've
interacts
not.
with people, how she communicates.
I've not seen interviews with her. At least not many. So I really wouldn't know. But really, I couldn't really stand the characters. For one, I wasn't I didn't. I feel like this really went nowhere, and especially when you get to
The
what's
house.
weird is the climax of the movie. By the way, I had no idea that this movie was 80 minutes long. So once that happened and that got resolved quickly, I was kind of like, oh, really? That just kind of just happened quick, and it was weird. I especially. If I keep talking, I guess I'm going to spoil it. But there's a moment that is basically treated like that. The cliche of the liar revealing the truth, and then they have to kind of apologize for not coming out with the truth, even though this isn't really that scene, but it's kind of like that. And then the way that that's approached, of how to right that wrong later, with the with like the 10 questions and all that, I didn't find that funny. I found that really annoying, and I just couldn't get into
No,
it.
yeah,
So
that 10
I
question thing
understand.
was pretty stupid.
Yeah, I understand that. At least I think I understand, because this has been described as a screwball comedy, and I can,
Eh.
yeah, I can fairly, I can see that. I guess a modern one.
It's just
But
it's the banter. It's how quick it is, if anything.
yeah, I guess. I mean, but it really isn't banter. It's more like one character just going on and on and on about themselves and what they want to do, and someone else trying to interject and add something to it, and yet they're constantly shutting them down.
I don't know. To a
I
point,
don't think.
I really liked when all of those characters were in the same room together at the end, and the way they were entering a scene, and then someone was still behind, and then they came back in with their conversation. And the way I described it in the episode where I was talking about it, I said it reminded me of Woody Allen dialogue, which is something that Baumbach doesn't really do. It's usually very, very serious stuff with someone having like some kind of midlife or quarter life crisis and just trying to talk things out, and either the person's listening or they're not. Whereas here in like the big climax, everyone is just like you said though, like they only care about their selves, and they're trying to get whatever they have off their chest. But I liked how zippy it was. Like I there was a certain pace to it that was almost too hard to keep up with, but like that challenge was rewarding. Like I don't know. I thought like there's definitely some pitfalls or some problems in terms of the story, but I just thought that almost it's not the final scene, but the final big scene there in the house was just done really well.
I can actually agree with that. Sort of complimenting to this movie, like in that even though I wasn't really enjoying that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wasn't bored, and it always had my attention. And the quick back and forth, like it works well enough and it flows well enough on its own terms that it certainly didn't lose me. But I just couldn't get into the actual movie when all is said and done. So do I think it's terrible? No, not really. It's just it really isn't for me.
I mean, what do you think of him though? We were talking about while we're young, yeah,
While we're
while we're
young,
young a
yeah.
couple of weeks ago. I know you liked we kind of agreed on it basically, but his other
But it's
stuff.
funny because I feel the same thing about Adam Driver's character.
Uh,
I couldn't stand him, but he was clearly the bad guy.
yeah, you weren't. You're
He wasn't
supposed.
necessarily being glorified
Yeah, you
in
weren't supposed
that.
to like him. It was
Yeah,
clear that Baumbach was Ben Stiller, and then Adam Driver was any young filmmaker that he doesn't like currently. But I mean, what about Greenberg and Francis Ha
I haven't seen
and Squid and
Francis
the
Ha.
Wild?
Squid and the Whale I haven't seen in forever, and I didn't like it when that came out. I guess it's I don't know if memory serves right. It's kind of similar like this, and that well, not
Nah, it's
really because there
very
isn't really
slow.
a free spirited character, but I don't know, just really really down and annoying to me. And I don't Margaret the Wedding I barely remember,
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
but I guess I kind of had the same feeling. Greenberg, uh, definitely clicked with me back when I saw it, but I have not seen that one since it came out. I remember walking out of it though very positive, and there's my phone. I forgot to silence that. My bad.
Oops.
Yeah, I walked out of it very positive, and it ended on a good note, and I really like the score for that movie too. And just especially at that time because I was going up to LA more and more and more. That was a movie that just the way that it captured the feel of that city for me. Similar to something like I guess what Funny People did, I really enjoyed at the time.
I mean, I've yet to rewatch a Baumbach film because you definitely have to be in the mood for it. Not just the characters, but the themes and just the pacing, or I don't know, just something about the characters. Like it's usually in New York, and it feels that way. Like the characters are pessimists or cynics, or there's something wrong with them, but they won't admit it or whatever. Um, but I don't know. Like I really like Mistress America, and I don't know. Maybe it was just the narration because like I've talked about this many times on this show. I love good narration, good framing structure. If it fits the characters and it fits the world, and then when it's something like Dope where the narrator changes three times, that's a no-no for me. Even though I really like that movie, I haven't finalized my best of the year list, but it's definitely honorable mention right now.
Yeah, it's on mine for sure.
Yeah, and like if they didn't have a narrator problem in that movie, I would have loved it a lot more. But like how the story here, the literal Mistress America story, how that narration comes into play and how it progresses and where it peaks and valleys in relation to what's happening on screen. Like I just thought it was really smart screenwriting. Maybe that helped me like it more. I don't know. It's hard not to like. Maybe you found her annoying, but it's hard not to be at least wooed by Greta Gerwig. If not her looks, then just her personality. And like you said, maybe
Well, it
she's
wasn't
different.
easy.
Yeah, maybe she's not the same in the real world, but to me, like in this movie, she seems like she comes off the page. I'm sure reading the script
She
was like
stands out,
talking to someone.
for sure, but I don't know.
Mm.
Likable was not, or charming is not exactly a quality that I would throw in. But like I said, I don't think it's horrible. It's just not for me.
Well, talking about not for me, well, not for anyone. I don't know. That's a hard segue. I saw Room, not The Room, but Room, the Brie Larson film, earlier this week. You definitely, we can't really review it because you
You
know
don't want to
why.
spoil it, yeah.
There is okay, the movie, like the poster, I kind of had an idea. I was like, it's called Room. I know it has a kid, and like that's kind of where we stopped there. But there's so much that's going on in this movie that is never mentioned on, like you see it happen, but they just
it's
never
it's
talk
very
about it. It's
it's
very
very
subtle.
clearly implied, but it's all
Yeah,
from the perspective of
of
the
the
kid.
kid,
So
and that's why it's so good.
I know, like you see that from his perspective. He at
Uh-huh.
least knows that something is wrong, even if he doesn't understand what it is. But you clearly, as an adult, being
Oh
aware
yeah.
of, like reading about these things in the news every day, you know what's going on.
Like I was thinking about this film probably for like 7 hours after I watched it. I like not like a hard think or anything, but I was just like the subtlety, like what it conveys without dialogue, like, just like looks in people's eyes or like these emotions that you've probably never felt, but that like just kind of traumatizes you. But the kid, man, so good.
Yeah,
Like not just in the titular room and like the what is that like the first 40 minutes or whatever. Like he's really good there, but then he's solid throughout. Like I really hope he gets nominated, not for supporting actor, but for lead. Like
which won't happen.
it
But
could happen.
for lead, I don't know. Did they give Kavechne Wallace lead
No,
actress?
no, for
No, they
some
gave her
because
supporting.
it's yeah. Usually it's for the kids that give them support. Like Paper Moon was the same story with Tatum O'Neal.
Hmm.
She got supporting. It's just Oscar voter or Oscar what are you, yeah, voters are
Yeah, fuck
stupid.
them.
The
Be
Academy.
fair. Come on. No, that kid was excellent. I mean, they all were. I mean, Brie Larson, fucking, she better get a nomination. I mean, my God, man.
Joan Allen.
Oh yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, this movie, it was tremendous, and it is going to be on my list, for sure. It stuck with you for 7 hours, like it.
I mean, I'm
It
still
probably,
kind of thinking about it. For like, yeah, the
like, yeah,
rest of
it's
that
it
day,
stuck with me for a while.
I watched it
That
early
entire
enough.
day.
Yeah, that whole day, I was just thinking about it. Like, huh? And like, it doesn't hit you like a pound of bricks or anything, like I said, because it's so subtle, not just in the way that the story's told, but it's like everything. Even like Brie Larson does an amazing fucking job, and yet like you kind of like even still you kind of don't like her character at times. It's a hard
I
movie.
I can't say I'm not going to say not like it, but I see where she's coming from. I mean, like one thing is that I sure as hell this movie, when I walked out of it, sure as hell made me appreciate my mother when I got out. I mean,
Right?
just like because I mean, there's just moments like you have to deal with like these little tantrums of the kid in a very serious situation, and you got to try to like keep things on a certain level and not go. I mean, it's because it is amazing like what her character is to be able to still give him a childhood that is fairly happy like in Room, like I mean just keeping like a little bit of a bright spot going, and then once things get darker, like you definitely sympathize like with everything that she's going through, that I can't say
Yeah.
it's not justified. It's it's just it is. I can't imagine the trauma that is going on
Imagine
there, but
like
I gotta
we
say though, for the kid
uh,
too, I mean, what I love is like this is one of the best examples that I can ever think of like childhood, like that I've ever seen on screen. Like there's
what about
things like,
Boyhood?
well, I mean, there's things like Boyhood and To Kill a Mockingbird where that is one of them. But that's like when you see what kids are like when they're together. This is like when
Oh yeah,
kids are
he's
alone,
narrating
like
this movie.
yeah, when you're like kids are alone in the house, like just little things like just laying around like by the staircase and like things like that, and observing stuff from the distance, and like just getting that sense that there are things that are wrong, but you're not being entirely sure, being able to grasp it because they're so young. I mean, there's so many I just yeah I thought it was amazing, honestly. Like it really took me back to like what it felt like to be a kid, and like the little moments where I was just by myself, just bored looking at
Like
stuff in the distance,
it
but
would
like
be
kind of getting a sense of stuff.
you'd
Like,
have to be a really dark parent to do it, but a kid could definitely watch this and it would be an okay experience, you
I
know? Like
mean,
I don't
yeah,
like the way it's directed, like the way I'm sure the book reads the same way. It's probably written the same way, but how it like covers the really dark stuff through the naivete and like through the eyes of a child, it works really well. Like it almost like the story itself, like what's going on, like it's basically a Lifetime movie, but it's done
it's
so
way better
well.
than that,
No,
though.
I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely way better. Not just the acting and the design and the budget and all that, but like from a strict story standpoint, like if it was done the generic route, like through like if it was just Brie Larson's character and she was the main, it would be a
yeah.
Lifetime
No, I
movie.
mean it's
But
because this
because
is
it
not
does it through the
melodramatic at
kid,
all. Yeah,
yeah, at all. Like
and
the tension is real. Like in that we've kind of already alluded that the whole movie doesn't take place entirely in the room. But if it had, like, if it was just a two-person play the whole movie, that would have been really good too.
yeah, I mean, it's though you really hit it. Like, it is really because it's from this kid's perspective that it doesn't feel like Lifetime. Because it's, the emotions are there. Like, you
Uh-huh.
have to. They're very subtle, and you have to look for them. But it's all because it's from his perspective. Everyone is trying to protect his innocence. Yeah,
There's like
like, and
one
that's
thing I got against this movie. I've seen multiple people say this online now. Like it's kind of described as a tearjerker. I didn't. I don't know. Like I did. You get emotional? I didn't.
yes, very very
I
much
mean,
so. Like, I
I
mean,
had emotions at play, but I wasn't like verge of tears emotional. Is what I mean.
like when I say I cry during movies, it's
Uh,
never, I've never like actually had a tear come out, but it's just that
yeah,
feeling in
the
your gut
welling
where
up
you're
feeling.
extremely moved by something. And I mean, yes, I had
No,
that feeling
I
that I would
straight up
use to describe that I cried, but
I straight up bawled my eyes out the first time I saw Cinema Paradiso. Like I was like man sobbing, like it was loud. No, no shame.
didn't you watch that in film class?
No, no, yeah, I like after I saw it during the summer, and then they showed it in my Italian cinema class, and that day I was like shaking my head, just going, "Fuck, man, I don't want to cry in front of all these people," but because I knew it was gonna happen already, it was so fresh in my mind, like nothing happened. Uh,
Well, I mean, not everyone's gonna like, even for tearjerkers, it's not like everything's gonna hit someone on the same level, but it still got you thinking about it
oh yeah, I
for
was definitely thinking.
hours. So, I mean,
I was
that's
just
still a
saying.
testament to how powerful the movie is, that it will
Oh,
stick with
it's
you.
definitely powerful. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, like I didn't feel like I was gonna cry, even though it was pretty damn emotional. Your pick. What'd you watch?
What's a good say? I guess, speaking of things that are emotional, oh, I'm just gonna go by title. I saw Love and Mercy. I guess I'm just saying that because Love's in there.
I heard Pet
That's
Sounds,
the
all of it.
hmm?
Pet
Sorry.
Sounds by the Beach Boys. I heard the whole album today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you saw this, right?
yeah. It's on theaters.
This is the Beach Boys biopic, mainly centered around Brian Wilson,
Paul
whose
Dano.
life, yeah, who's and John Cusack, whose
Yeah.
life I knew nothing about. So, and
Yeah,
was
everyone knows their
very,
music.
yeah, of course. But I mean, it's very interesting to see how that all came about in biopic form. Especially because that music, the way that's associated, is this mega happy '60s surfer scene. To see a darker side of it is undoubtedly intriguing, something that I did not know about at all. But I want to say it is really good. But here's the thing: is I think when I guess I can see why they did it because it's real life, and you have to stay true to that. You can't
Uh-huh.
take too many liberties. But when you split a movie between two different
Time periods and
time
actors.
periods, and they both feel like different stories that belong in their own movie, and one time period is just more intriguing than the other, that's not really
Hmm.
a good sign. I think both were interesting in their own regard, but I was a bit more interested in probably the Paul Dano stuff and just seeing how that all
Well,
came
yeah.
together.
I mean, he gives his all in it. Like he's on a war consideration right now. You know, like you buy him being Brian Wilson,
Oh yeah, no,
especially
no, he's
like
absolutely great.
in those like scenes in the swimming pool. Like you feel his trauma. Like you know there's something going. Like John Cusack is good in this movie.
Mhm.
Probably the best he's been in quite some while.
I mean,
However,
that car scene when he first meets Elizabeth Banks,
yeah,
that's such a great
it's really
scene.
good. And like most of his scenes are good. It's just the power of his performance is because you know what Brian Wilson is going on through Paul Dano's performance. Like
Hmm.
it borrows so much from what he brings to it. Not to mention he's actually singing in those studio sessions.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do any voiceover or dubbing. Like that's his actual voice, which is insane. And like Zoe Kazan, who dates Paul Dano, I think they've been together like 5 years now. On Twitter, like all the time, she talks about him, and like the last week she was talking about how much he likes like Taylor Swift and stuff. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but
yeah,
the movie,
it's
yeah,
not the most compelling movie. I think you said it. Like you didn't know Brian Wilson's story or the story of the Beach Boys really outside of hey they made this music, they made Pet Sounds. Smile came out a couple years ago, but like it tells you a story that's kind of really important, not just to the music itself, but especially when you consider like how revered their music is, in particular Pet Sounds. And so getting a biopic kind of set around the making of that album and what the rest of the brothers were doing and like their involvement and all that stuff, like pretty important. Very different kind of biopic though. If
I
not
mean,
for the split narrative, then just
just the way it's told, like, even just sound wise, I think
uh-huh.
the way that everything is just heightened to kind of, which is nothing necessarily new, to heighten certain noises to make a character seem, a bit more crazy, I guess, than other people, or just to show that they're having some sort of meltdown. That's something that's been done in movies, but the way that's done here really feels unique, and I mean, really makes sense as to this guy's artistic sensibilities, because you know that he hears things differently. Throughout,
Mhm.
people are questioning his choices. Like, no, no, it makes sense in my head. Just trust me. Just go with it. It'll work.
You notice
Like
that Paul
it's
Giamatti uh-huh.
no, sorry, what?
Did you notice that Paul Giamatti basically plays the same character in two
As
different
Straight Outta Compton.
biopics? Yeah,
Yeah, I was saying that that could have
it
been
could
a
have been
double
the same
feature. Yeah,
character.
the
Yeah,
Paul Giamatti douchebag that just tries to ruin artists.
yeah. Still,
In this case, literally trying to kill one. But I mean, yeah, no, it's really good. I do think it's worth checking out. Really great performance, and yeah, I was glad I saw it.
yeah. It was interesting watch for me too, especially because seeing it in the theater, and they're mostly older people, and I saw it in Torrance, which is neighbored with Hawthorne, so one of those very not down to earth, but when you watch a movie about a story that takes place so close to you, and it was the same experience I had when I was watching Straight Outta Compton in the same theater, just the proximity to what you saw on screen, like just really interesting. To springboard off your emotions, I saw Joy. See what I did there? Love, Mercy, and Joy.
Hmm.
I know
I don't
you've
know what
seen
segue I'm
this.
going to come up with now.
You can try. I stopped you from reviewing this last week. I know that you said it was one of your favorite movies of the year.
It might be,
We're
yeah.
not favorite, but when you left it, you said, yeah,
I think it's one of the best
one of
movies
the
of the
best.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I disagree. And I agree with most of the critics online. Just really good performance from Jennifer Lawrence. Most of the things that she's in, she's great in. Just a pretty weird movie. I mean, for one thing, it's not a biopic because they really fuck over, or not fuck over, but they really
They take
take
liberties. Yeah.
like some big liberties. For one, like in the short little history lesson I did on Wikipedia, um, Joy Mansano, she graduated from college. Like, yeah, she was a stewardess and she was an airline pilot, what you call it, like concierge and all these
Hmm.
things. And she, did have the family and all that in New Jersey. But she graduated from college. She met her husband in college. And the
So
way they
it's just
painted the
something to
movie,
make her struggle look more
I
rougher, I
guess,
guess.
I don't
I
like
mean,
to make her
yeah.
more of a down home, like relatable character, but like it already comes that way. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what David O. Russell was doing here with the script. It's not a bad script. Like it's interesting. It's just I went to this knowing it's the Miracle Mop movie, and I didn't understand any of the trailers, especially with the shotgun and stuff. And it does make sense in the movie. Um, just kind of bizarre. the structure here, especially towards
Honestly,
the end.
I think, it's kind of, it wasn't surprising to me because this was, this is David O. Russell between The Fighter and Silver Linings Playbook. Family dysfunction is just a thing, and I mean, just the stuff that the way her family treats her and is just dependent on everything was, I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but like, I mean, it was kind of humorless in an absurd way. Like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? I
The
can't
soap
believe
opera
that.
stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, I get that stuff. Don't ask me how, but I am. It's not uncommon to see just family being dependent on one person over all the little. I mean, for some people in my family, yeah, I just hanging on to that being dependent on one person. Yeah, I kind of it made me respect certain members of my family, I guess, a little more, and I saw a bit of people that I know through that, even if it's a little bit exaggerated. I saw some truth there, but also, I mean, it also just really painful the way that her family treats her later on. Like every time that it seems like she has a failure, they're helping make decisions at this point, not really helping, more like intruding, even though she doesn't shut them out or like does value their input. God, they treat her like shit throughout this. It's well, not all of them, but I mean, yeah, it's just there was a heartbreaking moment like where it seems like all was lost, and I was just kind of like, you fucking well. Anyway, yeah, but the way that I did put this was that I think between this and Creed, this was my favorite underdog story between the two, or at least I think the better one. I enjoyed
What?
Creed. Yeah, no, I enjoyed Creed a lot. But here's the thing: in that movie, when it started, he had a good job. Like he had a job that could probably make him, I think, like six figures
Oh
a
yeah,
year,
definitely, yeah, yeah.
at least. Yeah,
'Cause he just got
he
promotion,
is a
yeah.
privileged guy. Like he's
Yeah,
just
lives in a
going out.
mansion in L.A. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's is going out to prove something for himself, which is very admirable. But this is the rags to riches story of just trying to get out of the circumstance that you're put into. Like, I didn't do any reading on Wikipedia, so yeah, in retrospect, I guess that's messed up that they just write that in there. She didn't go to college even though she didn't realize,
Well,
but.
it's more than just that. Like they take a lot of liberties with the story. Like that's why it's not. It says like inspired by true events, not based
Mhm.
on a true story, or like they don't really mention what happens in her career. They take some elliptical cuts to kind of show things, but not really because it's like a flash forward, but not entirely. I don't know. I just the way they painted everyone in the movie besides Jennifer Lawrence's character was kind of evil. Like even her ex-husband, like he
At first,
he's the best character in the movie
yeah.
besides her. And that Edgar Ramirez, he's also in Point Break this year, and he's supposed to be good in that. So he's a fine actor, but like it just when you surround these despicable characters around one person who's like perfect, you know, um, I don't like it seems like they're trying to make like a Mother Teresa type movie. Like it's weird.
I don't know. For me, it's despicable characters. Even though I kind of shot down Mistress America for that same thing. I don't find it to be a bad thing. It's part of that world, and I thought it was for me for this story. I thought it was very believable under the circumstances, and it just heightened it for me more. It didn't take me out of it. Whereas I guess just something about Mistress America was I just couldn't see why you would like this person, but because enjoy, it's family. That's your DNA. You're stuck with them. Whether you like them or not, you still kind of feel an obligation to take care of them and hope that you can get them on their feet to do the best. So even then, I can sort of understand that. But yeah, no, I don't think that they were good people. But even performance wise, like Robert De Niro is not a likable guy, but I mean, man, it's nice to see late De Niro in working with David O. Russell in this way. I mean, because there was a period
mm,
last decade where it seemed
just
like he
meet the
was
parents and
yeah
analyze this and that, and
he was pretty much out of his prime, and I mean, it just seems like working with
supposed to be
David
good
O.
in
Russell like
supposed
really
to be good in the
injected new
intern too,
life.
which I'm gonna be checking out soon. So
Yeah, I know you want to. I mean, but really, like not one bad performance here. Now, that's something that you can look forward to from David O. Russell, and I really do love seeing that dysfunction around the house, like just the chaos. Like I really get a sense of just all the hardship there, and it kind of sucked me into it even more.
Oh no, you kind of mentioned this just a minute ago. You're talking about you were like, well, the dysfunctional family from Silver Linings Playbook or The Fighter,
The Fighter,
and it
yeah.
goes past that. Like you're talking like Three Kings, where they're not blood related, but they act as a family in that movie when all the bad shit happens. American Hustle kind of too, even though that's less of a family. I think maybe audiences are just getting tired of it. Like it seems like a shtick. Like he can only do one thing, and especially when he
I thought
reteams.
this was way better than American
Oh
Hustle
yeah,
for
definitely
me.
better than
Yeah.
American Hustle. That movie was garbage. Just seeing these same actors being used in similar stories with similar relationships among them. Uh, Plus, Bradley Cooper was like criminally underutilized in this movie, but I don't know. It's like it seems almost stale now. Like I want something different. I want like sure the dysfunction was great. Like Silver Linings Playbook was my favorite year, 2012, but it's like I've seen that already. I've already seen Robert De Niro playing the crazy dad and kind of holding his family together, and yet also because of that, like slowly making them fall apart. And it's not too far here. Plus, like I just mentioned, I was talking about the soap opera thing. It's really weird. Like the last time I saw something similar to this is in Mr. Mom when he like starts dreaming that he's in the soap opera. That's kind of what happens here. I don't know. Um,
I don't think for me the David O. Russell thing. I don't have a problem with that because that's every filmmaker out there, they have those threads that in their stories there are those similarities. Like for here, okay, it's family dysfunction. It could be a style or it could be a thematic thing that is similar to what it is that they're doing, and that's something that makes it a David O. Russell film. Everyone's got their thing. Judd Apatow, it's making movies about dudes that with the exception of Trainwreck, that just need to mature a bit more, and also putting his kids in movies and shit. J.J. Abrams, it's lens flares.
well, not Star
Uh,
Wars.
there was one really nice one, but I mean, you get what I mean, right? Like everyone, it's not a problem for me. It's just okay. That's just the kind of stories that tell that the guy. I'm assuming just has a really dysfunctional family, and that's just part of his life experience that seems true to him that he just puts in his movies because that feels right. That's what filmmakers do. So I don't really I don't have a problem with that for me, but I guess the way that you put it, I could see why you would, but this did not feel stale to me at all. It was a big breath of fresh air from American Hustle. And just as
I mean, I really.
an underdog story of the American dream, like it moved at a really quick pace, and
Uh,
I just felt every struggle is like it just kept going. I mean, this is a movie about getting a fucking miracle mop made. Like,
yeah.
it's,
Well,
it's about a mop. It's not
it's
like,
more than
Flash of
that.
Genius focused on the intermittent windshield wiper. And I mean, that movie wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't great entertainment. I mean, the fact that this is about something as seemingly not important as that, especially that payoff at the end too. Like, I really. I don't know. I really just felt good at the end of it. I saw this on Christmas Day too, and I was. It kind of is a fitting holiday movie because I was walking out with a sense of joy at the end, and really glad that spoilers for real life, but really glad that they reached that sense of accomplishment at the end.
I mean, I think anytime Jennifer Lawrence is on screen alone, it's really good. Or if she's like at the focal point, like for instance when she's like trying to sell the mops in front of Kmart, or when
Yeah,
she's on front of the camera
like
on
just that
QVC,
desperation.
like
It's like,
really really damn good. Like you forget that she's only 24 and is playing like a 34-year-old with two kids. Like you're like I can buy it. But for some reason when she's with anyone else, like if she's in a business meeting or she's like with her family or she's at one of her jobs, like it just for me it was starting to seem a lot less realistic. I
not
don't
for
know.
me. I mean, like I said, it's hard to say no to family. Like I get that.
I mean, not even
Um,
just the family though. Like when she's like setting up the deal. Well, it's hard to talk about without
with
ruining
what,
it.
Bradley Cooper, or
Sure, sure, the Bradley Cooper one, yeah.
I mean,
Like,
she comes out on top at that though.
but I mean, when she like, I just want to change one thing. She comes back in her blouse. Like, I get it. Like in the scene, it works really well. But who would do that in that situation? when you're being given this perfect moment, this golden opportunity, when you shouldn't get one in the first place, and you got those kind of balls. I don't know. Yeah, it just you didn't like Mistress
I'm not
America.
seeing
I
the
didn't really.
problem here, but
I didn't. I didn't really like the movie.
well, I don't know. It's a bummer. I guess I'm alone. I really do see it as this. It's just great. Not a substantial film or anything, but it is a great underdog story. For different reasons than Creed. I mean, Creed, makes you feel like you can go out and conquer the world. I really wanted to work out. Right after I saw that, I mean, yeah, they're both about success stories, so I guess they kind of leave you in a similar but different feeling at the end, at least for me, anyway. But yeah, I thought it was great.
I think if
Um,
they followed a more traditional biopic uh, framing structure, it would have been a bigger hit than it is.
well, it's doing well.
Like I said, there's that really weird elliptical cut towards the end where it shows like, oh, and this is what happens later in her life. Except like in the way that it's done, it's real misleading. Like, is this especially with the narration? It's like, huh? I didn't quite get it. It didn't do the text on screen where it's like they sold 400,000 Miracle Mops and made this
Yeah,
much money. Like that's just something that you kind of accept or expect even from a biopic. Like Bridge of Spies did it. Um, Love and Mercy does it. It's just one of those things you're like, yeah, it's gonna happen. It has to
yeah.
happen.
I guess it's funny though because watching this, I know it's a biopic, but while I was watching, I just never got that feeling. It felt more like a period piece to me. And I don't mind that honestly.
Well, I mean, this takes place in the same time period as End of the Tour. I would call that a period piece.
No, no, no,
There's
no. The
very
end of the
little
tour was
here.
'90s.
Yeah, yeah, this is 92.
I thought this was
No, no,
like late
no,
'80s.
no.
No.
This is 1992. See, they never even tell you what year it is.
Oh.
But yeah, like outside of like a Kmart marquee, there's very little here that makes it feel dated. Like I guess you could say the outfits or the fact that no one has a cell phone, but the dialogue doesn't seem quote unquote old fashioned. I mean, it's only 20 years, but that's a lot. Like the car I'm driving currently could have been used as production car in this movie. But whatever. We're not agreeing on this one. It doesn't matter. I don't think it's worth people's money. You do though, so that's okay.
I think at the very least it's a rental. I think it's a good feel good rental. I felt good.
I think it's Kate.
And my crowd did. It was packed on
Well,
Christmas morning, and it did get applause.
when you
So,
when you go out on Christmas to see a movie, I hope you applaud. It would suck to leave the theater being
well,
mad.
no, I mean there were like genuine laughs throughout. Like it really was a good underdog story. So, I mean, it's a similar experience that I had with Creed. Like both were packed crowds and people left feeling good at the end. Just different context, yeah, but a similar result, kind of. It was a great experience. Unlike the next one that I saw, which was Macbeth, which the only theater nearby me is a very small art house theater that is not bad, but I've never had a bad time at. But when I went, their front center speaker was very muffled. And that is not it. Oh yeah, and the surrounds, by the way, were completely fine. But the front center speaker muffled and quiet, and that is not a good thing when you want to hear Shakespeare dialogue because you got all these surrounds kicking, you got the score kicking, and everything's just at bright normal volume, and then you just got this really quiet, not clear, just mono sounding 40s, like just not not good speakers. So my experience was tainted there. But even then, I don't think First off, I did not read Macbeth in high school or college. The stuff that I read and enjoyed was more the comedies like Taming of the Shrew or the Tempest, like stuff that was funnier. This is a tragedy, but I don't, and there's something I guess about just the way that this is acted. Like it's a conscious choice, but it's the way that movie scenes are done. Where it's not theatrical. Where the actors are speaking loud enough for an audience to hear, and emotions are over the top and clear as day. No, it's very very restrained, like a normal movie performance would be. And I don't know, just for some reason, when it comes to Shakespeare dialogue, just it seems weird. And also, I guess the fact that first off, it's difficult to follow when they're
Uh-huh.
speaking so earnestly and so genuinely, and that I'm having a hard time hearing it. Like, I had to sit very close to like the third or second row just so I could hear the damn thing, and I was having trouble with it still.
So,
But
so this
even
is they use the actual dialogue here. They don't modernize
yeah,
it.
yeah, I didn't look at the screenplay credit to see if how it worked. I'm sure that they had to structure it though for the film, but
Oh.
yeah, just
Is it a
it was
modern
very
interpretation though, or is it it's supposed to actually be the time
no,
period?
it's the period.
Okay.
This is
Yeah,
the
I know nothing about it. I just know Michael Fassbender's in it. That's all I know.
yeah, and Marion Cotillard, and this is from the guy that's I'm blanking on. I'm pulling it up right now, but
Kenneth Branagh. Do you do it?
no, it's Justin Kurzel, and he's the guy doing the Assassin's Creed movie, which is supposed to come out
Oh,
next
that's
year.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Huh.
and Marion Cotillard's also in that.
And
So
so
they
is
got
Michael
that.
Fassbender. He's
Yeah,
the producer. Yeah.
yeah, they got that. And so, and there is a battle sequence that this movie opens with that, is not bad, but is just not that. I mean, first off, here's something that they do, and this is I complained about this last week when I was talking about Spy about using a phantom or just shooting high speed in general. This movie does it in its battle sequence, and it's pretty much just nothing like but that you don't really get a sense of the fight or anything. It's just they're all running in slow motion. You got this wide shot, and you're seeing all these little contortions of the human body and all that, and everyone's screaming and yelling and charging, and their throats getting cut, and it's just dragging on. It's all slow. I mean, but to this movie's credit though, when it does it, every time that it does it, it's like the image is sort of a painting that's just a still painting, except it's just moving a little bit. So I would say that's a good way of doing it, even though I still can't freaking stand it when movies do that. But so I don't know, for an action level for Assassin's Creed, I wouldn't know how to say how it would look. I don't know if this would be a good representation of that, or maybe if it's exactly the kind of movie that they're going for, then maybe we should be worried because it would be very slow and very boring. But yeah, the period does look good, but I don't know. It's maybe I have to see it again.
I hope not.
I've always loved, at least from what I've read and from what I've seen on screen of it, I've always loved hearing Shakespeare dialogue, and just this didn't do it for me.
Have you seen the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet or the
Romeo plus Juliet? No, I
yeah.
haven't.
Have you seen the Ethan Hawke Hamlet from 2000?
No.
Yeah, they're both done with the original dialogue, except they have modern takes on them. So Romeo
Hmm.
plus Juliet, it's like it's still Verona, but it's Santa Monica in L.A. in the early to mid '90s, and so like they pull their guns out and they're like, "I got my steel." I'm it's I mean it's Baz Luhrmann, so you can imagine how it is, and you should definitely check it out soon or sometime in the near future.
At some point,
It could be
yeah.
a
I
Death to
just keep.
Cinema episode. Like this is really interesting the way that it's done, and then it was like I said, it was reused in Ethan Hawke's Hamlet. I don't remember who directed that. It was like 2000, I believe, and then I think Much Ado About Nothing. The Judd, not Judd Apatow. The
Kenneth Branagh
no, no,
or no, Joss
yeah.
Whedon.
I think I haven't seen that still. I think it's on Netflix. It might still be. I need to watch it.
That
I
one
think
did
they do something
sort of put me
similar.
off too. No. They take the actual play and they just set it in this house.
Yeah,
And that I don't know.
so
That one
it's
did
modern
not.
day, and they have cell phones and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work for me exactly. But I think it was just because I was really tired. This maybe I have to see it again. But as far as I guess adaptations of Macbeth that I like, I guess I'll stick with Throne of Blood. Or at the very least, that's the most cinematic one. But I don't know how close this one is to the actual source. Because I mean, the whole thing with witches making predictions, like here, it's just women that are just standing on the like outside, and they just tell them. And I mean, I don't. The dialogue was hard to follow for several reasons. It was
I mean,
really bad presentation.
they're
Also,
they're
oh my god,
speaking iambic
yeah, the
pentameter.
DCP.
So
I mean, well, I'm sure the DCP itself was fine, but the projector, like, there was always the brighter that the environment was, like, there would always just be like these kind of fumes, like this haze, like spraying out. Do you know what I mean? Like when projectors are just kind of going bad. I don't know. I think it's a contrast issue, or I don't know, but yeah, just the projector was clearly dying because every time, like, if a scene was bright or there were bright backgrounds, you would see these fumes and these haze. It looked like something was burning behind the screen. It was so bad. Yeah, the presentation may have ruined it for me, and I don't know, but if I if I do rent it and watch it again, I probably would turn the subtitles on to better follow the dialogue. I mean, because it's very naturalistically acted.
I mean, I'll
So there
probably just
isn't
gonna
really
wait
much.
until they
Yeah.
make a teenage version set in high school. Those are hits. Serious.
But yeah, that'd be fun.
Look, she's the man, and
Have you
ten.
seen that
Oh
movie?
yeah, it's good. And
It's a good. Yeah, it
ten
is a
things
good
I hate
movie.
about you. Great modern day Shakespearean adaptations, like Twelfth Night and Taming the Shrew, like just done really damn well with like A-list young talent. That's Channing Tatum's like first movie. So
I
good.
forgot that he was in it.
Yeah, he's the love interest that Amanda Bynes is like crushing on. Well, I saw The Martian finally after way too long. Um, fuck, was it good? So damn good. I really wish I'd seen it in 3D.
Yeah, you should have.
Even though I can't imagine there was much I was missing out on.
Um,
Um,
I disagree, but I mean, well, you kind of said this during the Hateful Eight, like it seemed like a waste of a format because there weren't really wide
uh,
vistas or anything. But I mean, honestly, I did get to thinking about that more and more later. And yeah, even in the case of 3D, like my favorite shots in 3D, even if there's wide panoramic shots, like I really love the look of close-ups, like especially in this movie. Like there was just some that was really nice about it. It's the same thing with Hateful Eight. Like there was some really amazing looking close-ups, but I'm getting on a different topic. Keep talking about the movie. 3D
uh,
was great.
thanks.
Yeah. Sorry you missed out.
Like this is a movie that we've seen before. Well, not this one in particular, but if you've seen Castaway or any Robinson Crusoe type movie, even like the Swiss Family Robinson, there's many
More
examples. It's
appropriately, Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
yeah, there's so many different versions out there of this story. But this one's done so well. Like like I haven't read the novel. I know Andy Weir wrote like a really great book, but Drew Goddard, damn, is this
Goddard.
Goddard like his
Yeah.
script is so nice. Like it makes me sad to know that he got kicked off of well not kicked off, but he left the Daredevil show on Netflix as a showrunner after 2 episodes. He didn't get his Sinister Six movie at Sony. Like all these things that was supposed to happen just didn't go through for him. Like luckily enough, he has Cabin in the Woods in this.
Hmm.
But definitely like a supreme young talent right now. Well, not that young. I mean, he was working on Joss Whedon-verse shows like Buffy and whatnot, but comparatively so. As I don't think most people even know what he looks like. He's just a name. But you care so much about Matt Damon's character, and it's just him talking to a camera. It's him recording a diary.
I
Like,
mean, that's a big thing, though. I think what separates this from something like Castaway or any other survivalist stories is that it's funny.
like
It's the
Castaway's
humor
pretty
that's
funny
really
too, but like this is
well.
funny
I mean,
throughout.
this is like funny. Like, yeah, it's a joke. You clearly should laugh. Castaway, it's always kind of sad when you're laughing.
Not him and well, I
I
mean,
feel.
no, sometimes like it's hard not to laugh at Wilson now, but like that, I know you haven't seen it, but The Last Man on Earth, especially the first season, like they have like a very strong homage to that. Instead of just Wilson, Phil Miller, he has like a whole cavalcade of friends, and they all like fill the bar that he goes to in Tucson. Like there's seriously like 20 of them, and they all have names and they all have faces just like Wilson. Um, but like Matt Damon doesn't have that here. He just has himself and the shit potatoes. But somehow, and like there's so many people in the movie that you just wouldn't expect a good dramatic performance from, like Donald Glover and Kristen Wiig. And by the way, Kristen Wiig
I
was
don't know about Donald Glover. I mean, when he showed up, it was just kind of
it was
like
kind of weird, but like
it's cool that he's there, but it's huh?
he did a
And
really
he's
good
like,
job.
okay, well, he did a good job at being that guy, the weird guy with good ideas. He did go to what was expected of him, but I don't know. It felt like it wasn't a cliche that bothered me, but I just kind of was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, I like Donald Glover a lot, man. I love Community, but just him just showing up felt off. But it was good seeing him in something that Ridley Scott did.
But yeah, Kristen Wiig, she's also in Dire Teenage Girl. She plays mom in that movie. She's good here too, even though it's like kind of on the funny side. And I mean, the whole movie's on the funny side.
Hmm.
Chiwetel Ejiofor and the whole crew, even though I don't know most of their names besides, it's not Bryce Dallas Howard. It's what's her name?
Uh, got
Zero. No,
Mackenzie
no, no.
David
Well, I
or
liked her too. She's a satellite girl. No, no, no. I'm talking
yeah.
about the main. the not the captain, but the
Oh,
commander,
fuck.
who's also in Zero Dark
Jessica
30. Yeah.
Chastain. Yeah.
Like she's really like, everyone's good in this movie. It just a tour de force from everyone. Just directed well,
No,
great
that was Michael
script.
Pena, right?
Yeah, Michael Pena's in it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Two for two.
he was in
Yeah,
this
Ant
and
Man.
Ant Man at the same time. Just like everyone involved is just really really good. You can tell that they really cared for the story. You know, this is a bestseller that a lot of people already read before going into it, and I'm sure and most people that are listening to this have already seen it because it's been out of theaters for a while now, and it made a good amount of money for
Yeah, no,
October.
I think it was bigger than Gravity.
I would think so, yeah. Because I
Hmm.
mean, just a better movie to be honest. I mean, Gravity, is a 3D spectacle with some
I can't
amazing
go there.
cinematography, a really great cinematography. But at the end of the day, it was just a woman trying to escape a doomed space shuttle. Whereas
They are great for different
for
reasons, but
different reasons,
they both come to the same conclusion. I mean, I think
survival at all costs.
yeah, I mean, probably I think this ends on a Gravity ends on a far more operatic note, whereas this ends with a great humorous.
But I mean, like, whereas this movie, I mean, it's the whole thing is that it's grounded in real science. Like, it's not science fiction. Like, yes, it does take place on Mars primarily, but that most of the science, if not all of it anyway, is factual. Like, this is how it would probably work. Like, these are things that would happen. Whereas Gravity, there's a scene where she falls asleep and imagines someone's still alive.
Yeah, and for narrative reasons, that was
Oh yeah,
perfect.
it's great, but
No,
like
and that made as even the science of that makes sense. Okay, you have just CO2. Yeah, you're gonna hallucinate a bit. Yeah, that made sense in that moment.
that, yeah,
I mean, they
that's
found a good way of finding something that was scientifically accurate and making that into a narrative device that worked.
I mean, the movie's also a lot of it is whatchamacallit, it's Sandra Bullock, floating through zero gravity in underwear. I don't
That's
know.
only like two
That's off
minutes,
topic.
and that's
That's
one
all.
long shot. But it's yeah, symbolism.
Sure. Um,
Quran loves that.
yeah, but yeah, I mean,
Also, it's a movie that uses Wally logic, so fuck you. It's awesome.
it's hard to talk about The Martian just because I don't want to give anything away for different reasons than Room, but just lots of funny jokes. I want to rewatch it. I plan to sometime in the near future. They don't even though like we just mentioned Gravity, which was just a little less than 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and we had Interstellar last year.
Which I
Obviously,
was gonna say, between like all those three, this is I love that there's just more interest in space,
yeah. Well, I mean,
and that's
and
being
even
reflected in Hollywood, and I really want to
I mean,
see
obviously
that
we got
continue.
Star Wars and a new Star Trek coming out, but this is
Okay, well,
just
but Star Wars is a fantasy though.
yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
different.
I was gonna say like even though we like Interstellar is very much in the fiction of science.
Yeah, actually, Star Trek is more accurate though, because given where the last one ended, that is about going on a like 5 year long expedition.
I
Like
mean, it's
that's about
Star
setting
Trek.
up what was
The
going to
idea
happen.
behind the Star Trek is just that it's like 100 years from now, so all the things that they have will potentially have.
Hmm.
I thought that JJ did a really good job for the Star Trek reboot
Oh yeah, I love that.
when he's on the
I love
motorcycle
it.
on Earth and he sees the rocket ship and it's the first time you see any kind of
Hmm.
spacecraft and you're like, huh, this could actually happen maybe. But yeah, like there's just so much going on here. Like really good time. Like Castaway, I've rewatched that like once or twice. You can't really do it. You know exactly what happens. It's like you said, it's not a funny flick. Very, very emotional. Very great and gripping performance from Tom Hanks. But you can't really rewatch it. Whereas,
I don't know. I think for different reasons, probably like survivalist stories.
uh,
They are life affirming movies, and sometimes you just need to rewatch that. Like it depends on where you are. I guess at the moment you can't. It's not necessarily going to be as fresh, but I mean, yeah, I've rewatched Castaway before, and it's been appropriate when I have. Like I've been in the mood for something like that. So I think for this though, it's probably more on the fun side, so it's easier to rewatch it.
I'm gonna assume. But yeah, I definitely would buy it for $1. Big thumbs up. See it when it's coming. I mean, it's out of theaters now, but when it comes your way on home video or whatever it is, definitely check it out. Hopefully, Matt Damon gets nominated. That would be cool. I'm pretty confident in get nominated, if not win Best Adapted Screenplay.
Perfect segue here because we're talking about survivalist stories. The last movie I watched in 2015 was No Escape, and what a perfect
Yeah,
choice,
why?
right?
No, why'd you watch that piece of shit?
Uh, okay,
I
okay,
saw the
first off,
trailer. No, no, I didn't even see the trailer. I saw the poster, and I knew right away that I didn't want to see it.
okay, well, first off, this is from the Daddle brothers, who have made us such great films such as the Poughkeepsie Tapes, Quarantine, Devil,
Devil
As
wasn't bad.
Above, So Below. And you know what? I agree with you. Devil wasn't bad.
It
I
wasn't bad.
think,
We
and
talked about it
even
on our show
Quarantine.
before. I didn't
Yeah, and
see
even
Quarantine, but
Quarantine.
I
I
know
like Quarantine.
I know
It's,
it's a
you know,
remake of a foreign film, but yeah, it's supposed to be good. I
yeah,
know
it's a remake
it's
of.
a fairly good found foot. It's Rec, right? REC.
It is a remake of Wreck, and yes, the original is better. But as a remake, though, it's actually a really good one. It hits the same stuff
Uh,
practically beat for beat, and I haven't seen it since theaters. And yeah, I did kind of make the mistake of watching the regame, of watching the remake first. I wish I'd seen the original before, but I mean, yeah, the remake was very effective, especially. It's really the use of sound when it comes to these guys, because with Devil, like, there's some really, really cheesy stuff from that script. I guess you could blame M. Night for some of the stuff in there. Like, I mean, using the logic of flipping a toast, and because it lands jelly side down means that the devil is in the building.
is that what happened?
You saw Devil, right?
Yeah, I
You
saw it
remember
in
that?
theaters. I
The security guard is trying to tell the detective that the devil is behind this, and his
okay.
logic, he says, when he's around, everything goes wrong. And
Oh, I
it's
get
been
you.
that kind
Yeah.
of day where just bad things have been happening. But his logic to prove it is he throws a piece of toast up in the air, and it lands on the floor. And they points at it, he goes, "Look, see, jelly side down. See, it's the work of the devil." And yeah,
Well, maybe because
the guy
jelly
looks at him.
side
He's
would
like,
be
"Okay, you know
heavier.
what? You're crazy." And you can't blame him either, because who the fuck would believe that? But yeah, when you do get down to Devil, though, there are like the scenes of darkness in
It's
that
an
movie, and
effective movie.
just
Yeah,
the sound. Yeah, no, it's very effective, and that's
it gets ludicrous at the end when the devil actually appears.
yeah, it's it's a fun B grade horror movie, I'd
The
say.
the, the one and only M Night Chronicle.
Yeah, but I mean, getting onto, I don't know if I talked about it on this show before, but I did see As Above, So Below over the summer. That was a found footage movie about the explorers going down into the catacombs under Paris and literally going down into hell.
Huh.
It was a found footage movie, and it wasn't great, but again, like, just the way what these guys do, like, just the use of sound was so fucking unnerving, and I mean, it just got claustrophobic as they kept going down and down. But I gotta say, a problem though, and this is something that is reoccurring, is that they also write their scripts, and their writing is not necessarily the best. Like, if they were great writers, then they would be like an amazing team, because I mean, the filmmaking, like, just the way that certain sequences are constructed in As Above, So Low, like, really, really tense and unnerving, and like, you just the atmosphere, it's so good. And moving on into No Escape, even here, like, just there are so many really, really fucking intense moments that just sound like the sound just got me on edge. Just the filmmaking, like, this is about
Are they gonna
a
make the jump
family
from
that.
the roof to the roof? Are they gonna do it?
So you did see the trailer? No,
Yeah,
that
I
is
saw the trailer a
intense.
couple times.
Yeah, no, that in that moment, like, first off, that's Owen Wilson and Lake Bell, two people that you would not expect in this type of movie. Oh my god, was that moment fucking intense? Like,
Let's throw
it's
a kid
really.
to the other roof guy.
Yeah, I mean, and this is about like a revolution breaking out. And
Yeah.
I can't remember if they say it, but I'm assuming it's Cambodia, because
It's
they
definitely, yeah,
they
I
have
know
to,
it's
they're
Southeast
bordering
Asia.
Vietnam. Yeah, they say it's Asia, but I'm assuming it's Cambodia. They shot in Thailand, and I guess they worked real hard to make sure that they're not making that country's image look bad, so they avoided stuff like Buddha or any colors
Basically, the
of
idea here
yellow.
is that there's like a guerrilla warfare going on, and
Hmm.
there's a military uprising, there's a coup, and that the family has to escape, and they're stuck in between it. And it just so happens that Pierce Brosnan's there to help them.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan, by the way, who basically plays James Bond.
Yeah,
I can't remember what his character name is. I don't care. He's James Bond. He fucking works for the British government. He's James Bond. He shows up. He is the Deus Ex Machina. He just shows up at moments where it is critical, like they are gonna die, and then but James Bond is here to save them. I mean, this logic of the screenplay, it is weird, because, again, God, these guys, like, if only they were better writers, because it does feel almost the fact that these scenes of like revolution, the rebellion, and or whatever is going on, and like how they're just running away, it's so fucking intense and so well done, and it feels so real, like this is based on some actual real conflict, but it almost seems irresponsible to make it that intense, like, and make it just some cheap form of entertainment, like just screenplay wise, just have Pierce Brosnan just show up all of a sudden and save them. But there is also some cool stuff with how they survive, and his tactics on how to protect everybody and what they're going to do for food when they have to hide and where they're going to hide. I mean, there is some cool stuff there. Like for every bad thing in there, there's actually something really good in the script. I gotta say, if these this is why I was actually just gonna say that, because I keep focusing on these guys. Like, and it's only one of them that directs, John Eric Dowdle, but they're both producers and they're both writers on the same thing. And if Marvel brought them in to direct something like that was very dark and intense, and they had a bit of a leash on them,
or Blade.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a leash on them just to make sure that the script was good. Then, oh man, they could make something fucking amazing, because I mean, they're fucking talented, really. Like, even this is why, like, I keep paying attention to the stuff, because every movie of theirs, like, there's some stuff that's just really amazingly atmospheric, really fucking unnerving, and I really, really want to see these guys break out, because there's just so much talent there that it'd be depressing to see it go to waste. And I gotta say, though, not 100% brilliant filmmaking, because as intense as that rooftop scene is, it's so well set up, and then they have to fucking ruin it when they jump, and guess what they fucking do?
Freeze frame?
Yeah, they use the fucking, like, high frame rate, shooting with the phantom shot, and I cannot fucking stand it. It's just, it makes it look like it's supposed to look cool. It ruins it, though, because you have this shot that just, it seems stylized all of a sudden. Like, you have this very cinema verite style. It's basically like if Paul Greengrass just decided all of a sudden to shoot, like, just to do speed ramping. It wouldn't make sense.
I mean, it's the new walking way slow motion from explosions. So.
No, it doesn't make sense to have a moment that feels very intense, very real, and you're in it, and then all of a sudden to make it seem very, very stylized. I mean, that sequence is amazing when it's great, and then I was literally yelling at the screen and just telling them to fucking stop it, because it had no business being there. I get it. Digital cameras are getting, filmmakers out there, they're getting so much better. There's so much cool shit that you can do. It's great. Hey, you don't have to get a Photosonics camera and shoot at 1,000 frames per second with a film mag, wasting so much fucking film. You can just get a memory card and do so much more. I get it. Hey, that's awesome. You don't have to do it every fucking time. Please stop it. Like, it ruins moments. For God's sake, just
is like the
just
first
use it. Use it when it makes sense. Hey, Macbeth. They had a good reason to use it. Like, there was something interesting to look at, and every time they did it, it looked like a fucking painting. It was fucking brilliant. Here, if you freeze it, it doesn't look cool. It doesn't make the image look better, and it fucking takes me out of the moment. And I fucking hate. God. Seriously, when I was watching Spy, like, that's a big thing that just took me out of it. I couldn't fucking stand it.
I ever saw it
Inception, they fucking knew how to do it right, and that was shot on Photosonics.
Well, because it matched the story. But I think Fight Club was the first time I saw it, like the sex scenes, in particular the first time when Jack is fucking Marla, and there's like that whole, I don't even know how to explain. You know what I'm talking about, where like they do the motion blur, and it's the same thing. But then I remember, like, the first time I like noticed what was happening, he was in the other guys, because they're like getting really drunk for some reason, and it's like you see him at this side of the bar, and then you see him in the middle of the room, and then you see him there, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool how they do that. And then I'm with you. It's like everyone just does it now. It literally is the new walking away from explosions. It's like we need the audience to have like a really cool moment where we do something pretty high tech, but we're gonna take it for granted just so they can like clap or go ooh or ah.
That is a benefit of shooting on film, because it's when you were shooting 1,000 frames per second and you had a film mag on there, you were not gonna waste that fucking film. Like, Inception, they knew exactly what they were going for and what they were going to slow down. I mean, that's even Michael Bay when he did it in Pain and Gain. I was just kind of like, why are you slowing down this moment? It doesn't need to happen. Like, okay, fine. Tony Shalhoub gets tasered and he spits out. I guess some of the contortions there are funny. It's funnier in Jackass 3D when they do that because that's the entire point. But hey, when someone does get hit in the face with the tire, I'll defend that one because at least that looks interesting, and you'd have to slow that down because it's so fucking weird that yeah, it's kind of cool to look at. But I don't just you have no idea how close to amazing that scene was until they had to fucking bring out that camera. But
I guess there's no escape from technology.
I mean, no, this movie is not perfect, but I'm recommending it on the basis of its strengths mainly because there's so much here that is just like so good, and I really want to see these guys do good, and it's really nice seeing people like Lake Bell and Owen Wilson in something different and to be utilized like really well. It feels like everyone's taken this seriously to some extent, even though I don't know what the politics of this movie are supposed to be or if it's trying to have any serious message in there, but there is just some feeling in there because it's taking it so seriously, like there should be more. Like it feels like you should be saying something about an actual, revolution. Like you should be saying something about Burma or something. But
well, they already got Beast of No Nation this year, so.
Oh yeah, that was a fictional country though, and the entire point of that was to focus on child soldiers and all that. So there was something being said there. That's something that we know exists and that offered a perspective that we had never seen before. So it wasn't like that was irresponsible or anything. This doesn't say anything about it. It's just a survival story. And
I mean, what I know about it, it's basically the impossible with a different conflict. You got this family behind quote-unquote enemy lines with an insurmountable problem, and yet they survive anyway. It's a true story.
But this is not a true story, and it's also got James Bond in it.
So,
and that is another reason to see it. Hey, if you want to see Pierce Brosnan be James Bond again, fucking watch it. No,
you haven't
really.
seen Miss Doubtfire, huh?
I have.
Okay,
yeah,
I was gonna make a joke about at least he's not allergic to cayenne pepper. So like
pre-James Bond.
It's like the stupidest thing in that whole movie. The movie of stupid things. Is this cayenne? Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Yeah. Hey, we're ending on a down note because this is a very kind of depressing movie, but I know people are going to hate it, but there is so much that's good here, and if you're willing to forgive the other stuff and just kind of try to see past that, I think that there's more good happening here than bad. And the stuff that's bad, it's not like it's horrifically bad. It's just it doesn't measure up to what the rest should be. Like
put it this way, like you're not recommending people to buy this on Redbox.
Well, I recommend. I'm sure it'll be on Netflix soon. This is a Weinstein Company movie, so
yeah,
it'll probably be on Netflix.
But even
it's a good rental though.
There's so much good stuff out there that we already mentioned at the other sections on this show. For instance, the one that started Tangerine, that's on Netflix. Like, I think we both agree that's a way better watch than No Escape.
Oh yeah, no,
I haven't seen.
I mean, I'm if you got to decide, then take a listen, make your pick, and see whatever appeals to you more. I think more people are probably just going to watch No Escape because they're pussies,
Or I mean, well, there's only one person with a pussy in Tangerine, so.
2 actually.
Whatever. Okay. There's like 4. Okay. The motel.
3
orgies.
if you count Mama-san.
No, there's the hotel more. I'll kick you out my stuff.
Yeah. No, but I
hurry up and buy.
This is if you want to see like a promising talent and see what they can do.
There's Devil then. Like Devil
yeah.
is a fine movie.
This was
if you want B horror, if you want stupid jump scares and basically a play that takes place in a like stuck elevator, then sure. And I didn't even know it was the same directors, but
yeah, I was hoping more from this because this wasn't a horror film. Like they were becoming known as the guys that were doing horror films, and they try to break away from that and do something different. They went to the fucking Weinstein Company from this, and they got funding for it, and it got made. By the way, for a really low budget of $5 million, it is incredible what they get. I think Beast of No Nation costs a little bit more than this.
I think it was 5. Might have been
yeah, I mean,
5.6,
this is like
yeah.
God, just the the revolution going on in the streets. I mean, it's very chaotic what's happening in this movie, and they get so much out of this budget. So they're very, very resourceful guys. I think even As Above, So Below didn't cost that much either. And yeah, they shot that real catacombs too, so that added to a layer of authenticity. I mean, seriously, Marvel or somebody give these guys can do something good if they've got good people to work with and collaborate with. I hope that could happen because I would love to see them surprise everybody. And I'll keep repeating that if I talk about this movie. I think I've said about everything I could at this point.
You should make T-shirts. Did you love Devil? Did you think No Escape wasn't bad? How about As Above, So Below? Then you should get it. Sign my petition. Get them into the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I didn't see the Poughkeepsie tapes. Like, a friend of mine tells me it's the scariest movie that he's ever seen, and he's tried like showing me bits of it, and the dialogue and the acting is just so horrible.
I mean, you could show someone,
but yet there was a sense also that it was just very, very unnerving. So I mean, these guys know how to make something fucking creepy.
you could show someone certain sections of Signs, and they think it's the scariest movie ever made. So
there is some masterful filmmaking in Signs, yeah. But there's
there's some scary shit that
really bad
and then it's
stuff,
really stupid when Abigail Breslin wearing a fucking tinfoil hat, so they can't read my brain. Oh man, look at her career now from Signs and Little Miss Sunshine to Scream Queens and the new not Footloose, Dirty Dancing. Wow,
she's doing fine.
No, not really. She should fire her agent. Thanks for listening, guys. We still really have to fix this show. We need to make it more professional than it is, especially because I mean it is the new year. I was thinking about buying a domain for us. Anyway,
really,
yeah. So you can find our whole show at dollarreviewspodcast.wordpress.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook at Dollar Reviews. And you can find us personally through the internet, even though we didn't even say our names on the show. Whatever. You can find it out. I'm Brian.
I'm sure that if anyone's listening, they know us by now.
Maybe. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, like, sure, Magic Mike XXL's had, like, close to 2,000 plays. But I don't know if they know our names.
Yeah, it seems like the single reviews and like the Debt to Cinema episodes get more play, though. I mean, this and 2 Cents, I'd never seen many likes, or I don't think I've seen one yet.
Well, I mean, you got to be committed. It's a daunting feat. Like, Debt to Cinema and single episodes, they're rarely over 30 minutes.
I'm surprised how long this episode ran, though. I mean, we're what? We're already
it's almost
more
2
than
hours.
100 minutes?
Yeah, it's over. It's past 90.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. The year just started. We got big things on the horizon. Maybe some new shows. Maybe a new domain. Who knows? But until then, you can find everything. Maybe at 2 Cents this week. I'll reach out again.
Nice.
So yeah, find us dollarreviewspodcast.wordpress.com. You also get us on Twitter and Facebook at Dollar Reviews. You can find us personally through Letterboxd, where Steve throws money at them so his can look really nice. Or Twitter. I'm Brian, as always. Catch you next time.